Ahoy ahoy to all you smooth sailors out there, and welcome aboard the Deck Tales podcast. I'm your host and captain, Sammy Catlin, and this is the show where we set sail into the captivating world of ship life. Most of the time, delving into the best and worst experiences of the incredible crew members who called the open sea their workplace, but I'm open to the odd exception as well. Whether we're navigating stunning destinations to weathering unexpected storms, our guests all have stories to tell that will make you laugh, gasp, and maybe even shed an unexpected tear. So if you're a seasoned cruiser eagerly awaiting your next embarkation, or just curious as to what goes on at sea, Deck Tales is your boarding pass to a world of nautical narratives. My guest today is Mr. Mase Boogie, a former ship breakdancer and now performer currently working with a couple of NBA teams, among other things. Mase came highly recommended to me from his former cruise ship colleague Bboy Smurf, which tells you all you need to know. And so I got in touch with him and he was delighted to come aboard and be a part of the Deck Tales family. So let's anchor up and have a little listen. How's it going, Mase?
I'm doing well. How are you, Sam?
I'm very well, thank you very much. I do apologise. Actually, I'm not Sam. I'm Sam's younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah, he. Since I started doing this podcast, I've always had a beard, and then you know how sometimes you're trimming up and you're shaving, and then you take just a little bit too much off.
Yeah, I've been there.
You're like, oh no, I've got to take it all off. So, but hey, I went for a swim, and it made me more aerodynamic. I was confused for a fish.
That's what's up. Just a moment. I gotta grab. So I jot down some notes of things that I want to make sure I talk about. I thought I had it over here. It's just on my bed. One second.
Whilst Mase is going over, this episode is powered by Jimmy's Coffee. They're not a sponsor, but if they want to sponsor me,
all right, back in action.
Yeah. I'm just trying to attract a sponsor by the time you get back. Maybe there'll be somebody to sponsor the show. Who knows? Jimmy's Coffee. Can't live without it. Anyway.
That's what's up.
How you been, man? You came highly recommended as someone to get in touch with via our mutual friend and former colleague, Bboy Smurf.
That is correct. That's funny because I actually messaged him now it's been like about a month or two, because of course he told you about the whole Fun Ship Freddy situation. So the girl, I actually ended up seeing her when I was in Budapest, Hungary, for the job that I have now. Mm-hmm. And she was saying that she was going to be going to Vegas where he lives. So I reached out to him and I was like, oh, so-and-so, she's going to be in Vegas. She was trying to get in touch with you. And I swear this guy, this isn't the first time that I brought her up to him, but for some reason, he always needs a reminder of who she is. And I'm like, bro, how do you not remember the girl who was Fun Ship Freddy? Like I said, there was another time before where me and the girl, we were able to meet up because she's a flight attendant now. And if it wasn't for me breaking off to go on a little vacation, she would have been the flight attendant on the flight that I would have been flying back to the U.S. with the organization that I work with now. But we were able to link up at the airport and, catch up on life for a good 45 minutes to an hour. And then I was like, yeah, next time I'm in this area, let's meet up. And we were able to do that. So that time, the first time in I think it was prior to that, it's been 8 or 9 years since the last time we saw each other.
Wow. So
when that happened, I messaged Smurf and I'm like, yo, guess who I ran into? Blah, 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 blah. And, oh, who is that? I don't remember. So I had to send him some pictures and then that jogged his memory. But then the same thing this time around. I'm like, yo, so-and-so, she says she's going to be going to Vegas. She wants to meet up with you. Who is that? I'm like, bro, how do you keep forgetting?
Well, Mase, you of all people should know this better than anyone because you were his cabin mate. But most of the time when you was on that ship with Smurf, he was not compos mentis.
Yeah. He definitely was spent a lot of time drinking. Because I'm sure he told you this.
Yeah, he did
Smurf is not a he's not a drinker, he's a smoker.
yeah, but he did a good impression of you, basically calling him out on all of his antics.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I've got some I was matter of fact, I was going through last night, just going down memory lane and watching a bunch of video clips that I took, during the ship journeys, and I've definitely got some good ones of Smurf.
Oh, well, we should have gotten him on the call as well if that's the case. Do a crossover episode.
I know we may have to run this back and talk about some of these video clips that I have of him.
We'll do like a separate section where it's like Smurf reacts.
That would be amazing because he probably doesn't remember some of these video clips that I have. So it would make for great quality TV to
Well,
see him react to them.
he did say about how I think it was in your cabin that you guys had like cereal and milk and all of this stuff, and the dancers would come by and they would just help themselves, walk in and be like, oh, can I have this and blah blah blah. And was that your cabin or was that another ship?
Yeah, that was the Fun Force cabin. The dancers would always come through and kick it with us.
So then he said
Um,
about how he was secretly filming them and had a YouTube channel, the
yeah.
boys, which YouTube took down because they had no consent. You had no
Uh-huh.
consent.
And
The
there was
early days
there
of
was
YouTube.
another thing that he did, and I helped out with it as well. The well, maybe you don't know, there's the American TV show The Real World.
The real world, that rings a bell.
It was like one of the original reality shows that was
Yeah,
on MTV.
I know what you mean.
So
Like Geordie Shore.
so yeah, so he was basically doing like the Real World cruise ship edition,
Oh yeah.
where it was like we didn't include videos of like the different interactions, but we would talk about stuff that happened between us and like other people on the ship. It was more so like his thing, but of course I would chime in here and there if I was ever involved in anything. So I I have like I think it's like a 28-minute long video that he made of just different ship stories that
What? Ficti
stuff that we were going through on the ship.
Not fictitious.
No, it was all legit.
Have to try and find that footage at some point, and we'll have to upload it to the channel. You you've alluded quite cagey in your responses to what you're doing now as the organization that you're working for. Um, and I put this on just for you. Like this was my
I
salute.
noticed.
This was my salute to the greatest of all time. Are you are you, are you not allowed, or you don't want to say who you're working for now, or is that?
I don't really think it would be a big deal because, I am going to try to keep, I curse a lot, but I am going to try and keep my speech as family friendly. But yes, I do work for a couple of basketball teams. One is, NBA, and the other is they've been around since 1926. And it's funny that you have that specific jersey on because that's actually, despite their name, that's actually where the organization was created in Chicago.
Yeah, that's exactly
So
what I put it on for.
somebody's done their research.
Yeah, yeah, I did my research on that one. It's not just one of only two jerseys I own.
Like as Smurf said, like I was kind of the voice of reason.
Straight
I
arrow.
never drank. I never smoked. I'm pretty sure I'm the only Fun Force guy who's never messed with a Steiner. So I kind of
As
pride myself on that.
as that's a lot of checks to your name, not smoking or drinking on a cruise ship. And as the saying goes, there's nothing finer than a Steiner.
That's right.
And you didn't mess with one of those either. So well done to you. You're a pious man. You live by a good
Well,
example.
okay, so I didn't sleep with one, but there was one situation where there was like a little bit of fondling, but that was it.
Okay, fair enough. We haven't even said
But
what we haven't even technically said what it is that you did on board. But by, people piecing it together, I'm assuming they would assume that you were a breakdancer as well.
Yes.
Yes.
So, I got my start in the entertainment world with Carnival Cruise Lines as a Fun Force B-boy, or as, people commonly know it as breakdancer.
Yeah.
That all came about just after, going to different dance competitions and meeting other dancers around the state of Florida. Me and one of my homeboys, Miles from Panama City, who I did my first two contracts with. He's another b-boy.
Mm.
We came up in the ranks together, and so we started traveling around and meeting other dancers. And so we started like seeing video clips of guys performing on ships, and we were like, what the hell is this? Like, this looks cool. Like, I feel like we could do the same thing. So after like doing some digging, I actually emailed Carnival first. They had a posting for looking for entertainers.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
thinking that, I have to reach out to them to get the job. After I did that, I didn't hear anything for maybe like 2 months. Like, I had forgotten that I even sent the email, but I got an email response back, and they were like, "Oh, Carnival, we don't hire the B-boys. It's actually this other company called G-Force." So once I got that info, reached
Specifically,
out to
yeah.
G-Force, sent them my resume and a dance video highlight that I had already made. And then they got back to me, and they were like, "Hey, you have great timing. We're actually looking to, start a new program called Fun Force." Because, I didn't know this at the time, but the video clips that we were seeing, they were fly on entertainers. So for the people
Okay.
who don't know what a fly on is, fly on entertainments, they don't stay on board the ship for like months at a time. They'll come in at one port, do some shows, and then, sometimes they'll leave in the next port, or they may, stay just that cruise. And once they get back to the home port, then they'll, go off and either go have a break, or they might get flown out to another ship, but
Yeah.
they aren't on board.
Drive-by performance.
Yeah, basically. So when I reached out to G-Force, they were actually setting it up to where they would have B-boys stay on board the ship for, started off at 3 months at a time for the contract. And then later on, they upped it to 5 months. So yeah, anyway, reached out to them. They got back to me, said I had perfect timing, and they let me know that they were interested in bringing me on. They liked what I had to offer. So then I hit up my homeboy Miles, like I said, and I was like, "Yo, Miles, guess what? I got hired by the cruise ship." And then, he's like, "Man, I want to get hired too." And so then I'm like, "Well, fool, what do you think I'm hitting you up for? Like, I'm trying to put you on too." Because like literally we had a conversation a few months back, like, and Miles always brings this up to me whenever we talk. We were in a burger joint called Whataburger that is in like select places throughout the South. So we're in the Whataburger, and we're having this conversation, and we're talking about like how we feel like we're just as good as the guys that we were seeing performing on the ships already. And, sure enough, like I said, I was able to get my foot in the door, and I was like, "Yo, like, you're my homeboy. We've known each other since 2005, 2006. Like, I want to bring you on to this journey too. Like, I'm trying to look out for my people who are trying to really, do something serious with this." And so that's how that all came about.
Hmm.
Had great timing, as G-Force said.
Well, so were you traveling around as a b-boy before you joined Carnival, like Smurf was?
Only not like Smurf was. Like, Smurf was, already getting like flown out to battle overseas and stuff like that. I was only traveling throughout the state of Florida to go to different competitions. And then I would do like talent shows and stuff like that too. Matter of fact, the way that I was able to get a computer to make the demo video that I ended up sending to GeForce was because I won a talent show when I was trying to, I tried doing the college thing. So I happened to win the talent show, got the money from that, and used it to buy my first laptop. And then, yeah, they had Windows Movie Maker on it, and that's how I was able to make the video that eventually led to me getting hired. But yeah,
Just so people who don't know, Windows Movie Maker is an abomination of an editor.
yes,
It takes
it's trash.
it takes a year to put together a 5 minute clip.
It does. It's the worst of the worst, but I mean, that's all that I had available back
Yeah, yeah,
then,
yeah.
so I had to make do. But yeah, I was only doing, like I said, stuff throughout the state of Florida. So all of that was, me forking out my own money to get around and, start networking that way. I didn't start breaking until 2003, and Smurf might have even started prior to that. But yeah, he started before me.
Well, he's got
So
a few
I was
years.
playing catch up.
He's got a few years on me.
Yeah, he's a few years older than me. I'm 37 now, so Smurf is already, in his 40s.
But you don't look 37, man.
I'm always telling people drink water and stretch. Drink water and stretch.
That's your Instagram handle.
Yes, that's how I have my name set on Instagram. Drink water and stretch. My actual handle is, Mase Boogie 850, but underneath, like for what would be your name, I have it set as drink water and stretch.
So that's like a life philosophy.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. That's what keeps me, young and able to still move like I'm in my 20s.
So what's the optimum amount of stretching and quantity of water that one should stretch and drink
Well, I
per
try to
day?
stretch at least 20 minutes a day, but if you can get a good stretch with at least like 10 minutes. You need at least 10 minutes to dedicate to stretching, and it just makes you feel better no matter like what your level of physical activity is. Obviously, I'm still in the entertainment business full time, so it's a plus for me to always, be in tip-top shape. But just in general, stretching like 10 minutes a day is good for you no matter what you do. People always talk about, oh, their knees hurt, their back hurts, and I'm like, well, do you stretch? Oh
Yeah.
no, I don't do that. Well, that's the easiest way to alleviate that pain is by stretching and getting your body loose. Your body is tight.
Hey
You
man,
gotta
there's a lot of health and wealth podcasts out there in the world, and this is not one of them. We're gonna
My
talk.
bad, my bad. I'm very passionate about drinking water and stretching, as you can see.
What ship were you on with Smurf? Which contract?
So Smurf and I, we were on the Carnival Ecstasy together,
Right.
which was based out of Galveston, Texas at the time. I don't
And
know.
that's their smallest class of ship, the
Yes,
Paradise.
it's a fantasy class ship,
That's it, fantasy class. Thank
which fantasy class ships were my favorite just because it was easy for me to sneak around.
you.
Because, like I said earlier, I don't, drink or smoke, but I guess my way of having fun was
Seeing what
hooking
you
up with
could,
girls.
yeah, seeing what you could get away with.
Yeah, I have my share of, ship romance stories.
Are we talking exclusively with the crew or not so much?
So I,
Yeah.
definitely, did my share of hanging out with cones, as we called it.
Yep, that's been explained.
Yep. My
That's
first two contracts, I was like hanging out with cones only. And then after that, I linked up, sometimes we would be in port with other ships that had B-boys on it. And so this guy, his name is Busy Brooks. He was like, we were talking about, girls and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I like hanging out with the passengers because, you don't have to see them again after a certain amount of days.
mm,
And he kind of dropped some knowledge on me. He was like, but yo, like you don't have access to women from all over different countries as you would like at any other regular job because back then, like I'm not, thinking I'm still going to be in the entertainment business and traveling around the world still. But after he said that, I was like, yeah, you got a point. Like,
yeah, you
when
did
am
have a
I
point.
ever going to see or meet a girl from Croatia or
Well,
Montenegro
well,
ever again.
you've got the opportunity to travel now, but
Yeah,
it kind of you didn't even clock it when it was an option at first.
yeah.
It was one of those things where you're just like, I'm comfortable with what I know more so.
Yeah. And but obviously now I've learned like a lot more stuff than I did when I was on Carnival, both like in life and as a professional entertainer.
Mm.
Because when we first got on the ships with, the whole Fun Force theme, like we were given like a little like BS PDF of like, okay, here's what you're supposed to do, but it still wasn't like very detailed. And like our first cruise, we had a guy from the office that was with us, but he still was like a young dude, like still trying to be like out and about. He was like the first night that we were on board, he hooked up with a girl. So he was our
Hypocrite.
supervisor for that cruise, but he was still,
Yeah,
had his, agenda.
a massive hypocrite. So how many years did you do on ships? I didn't even ask you that.
I did 5 contracts within about 2.5 years.
Okay.
So I worked on 4 different ships total. My
All with
first 2 contracts were
all
on
with
the same
Carnival.
ship. Yeah, all with Carnival.
Yeah.
My first 2 contracts were on the Carnival Pride. Those were both 3 months at the time. But actually, the second time Miles and I went to the Carnival Pride, they were trying to go ahead and extend the contract to 5 months. But we were like, oh, I don't want to stay on 5 months. So they still let us stay on for just 3. And then after that, when I went to the Ecstasy, when I met Smurf, that's when we were it was 5 months, standard. And after that, I was cool with it. After I left the Ecstasy, the next ship I worked on was the Sensation. The final ship I worked on was the Fantasy.
Okay. Did you have a favorite ship? Was there one that stands out for you as the best or not really?
My favorite, well, like I said, the Ecstasy, the Sensation, and the Fantasy were all the same ship. The only
Yeah.
thing that was different was like the decorations. Overall, the most fun that I've had was when I was on the Ecstasy, with Smurf. And then
Oh,
once Smurf left, Kid Bless came in and he finished out the run with me. But yeah, that's the most fun that I've had, throughout my time working on Carnival Cruise Lines was when I
uh,
was on the Ecstasy.
unfortunately, he couldn't reciprocate that feeling. He was, I think he was fed up with you by the end. He picked another ship, mate. I'm joking. I can't even remember what
No,
he
I
said.
know, I know. But see, what happened was Smurf was it was his first contract. He was
Yeah.
still under the impression that it was only going to be for 3 months.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's what it was. They ended up letting him just do the 3 months as opposed to the 5. But by the time I got on there, like they were like, okay, you have to do 5 months. So that's why he ended up leaving early. He left, he only did 3 months, and then Kid Bless came in and I worked with him the remaining 2 months on my contract. And then, of course, when it was time for me to leave, somebody came in to replace and, worked with Kid Bless.
Yeah. Do you ever like go back and think like I miss cruising, or are you just so far removed from it now that you're like, hey, it was a small part of my life. Glad I did it, but I could never go back.
There are moments because, like I said, I did make a lot of great memories.
Mm.
And also with what I do now, like I've actually run into a bunch of people that I used to work with from the cruise industry. So of course that always is like, oh, takes me back to the memories and stuff like that.
Oh,
Ultimately, I make a lot more money now than I did when I was on Carnival. So that's a plus.
yeah,
But
of
as
course.
far as like the fun and hanging out with, people, and of course, time on the ship is like 10 times faster than on land. So you feel like, a week after knowing someone, it feels like a year that you've like been interacting with this person.
Is that why you went through so many relationships?
Quite possibly.
Is that how you justify it, Mace? The quickness of time. That's why I went through so many women.
That might have been it. And also like with that, like I was a late starter. I didn't start, getting sexually active until I was 20. And by that time most people have already, well, at least most people that I've met had already lost their V card when they were in their teens.
Yeah.
But I did a lot of bouncing around. My dad was in the Air Force, so I grew up in an Air Force family, and with that, we moved around a lot. So it was like by the time I started getting settled into, my surroundings, it was time for us to pick up and move again.
Yeah.
So
By that
I didn't
logic,
really start getting like
active.
accustomed to things until moving to Florida, where we didn't bounce around anymore.
Yeah. But so basically, because you were a late bloomer, you were making up for lost time on the ship as well.
Basically, that's what it was. Yeah. I was like, so, us being Fun Force is like we were basically the superstars
Mm,
of the ship.
yeah.
We were the young, athletic, in shape, cool kids, the cool American guys.
Yeah.
That's basically how, guests and crew, they looked at us like the cool Americans. Hip hop culture is all over the world. So, we had that going for us, and we got a lot of attention from women. I do think I made up for lost time,
Yeah.
being on the cruise ship.
Do you have a standout, most embarrassing scenario that happened in the 5 years at sea? Sorry, not 5 years. It was 2 years,
Two and a half.
two and
Yeah.
a half. Yeah.
So for me personally, I think the most embarrassing moment I had was getting injured while performing.
Oh.
And like it wasn't like some, little injury. I ended up tearing my ACL unknowingly
Ah.
when I was performing on, and it was my first contract, as a matter of fact. We had like I think 2 weeks left. So my homeboy Miles and I, we're doing a show. We're performing before, I think it was a pre-bingo show.
That sentence just
And
made me laugh. A pre-bingo show?
yes, oh,
What
that's
a
why
hype up bingo.
that's yeah, exactly. That, and that's why the Carnival Pride is my least favorite ship out of the four that I worked on,
Okay.
because they had us doing some BS, and I'm sure I'll get a chance to talk about that.
Yeah.
But we were doing a show. I go to do a flip that I've done a million times. As soon as I take off, like the ship kind of like
Oh.
you know gives me one of these. So when I land and my right knee pop pop, I was like, oh, that's not good.
Oh.
And like Miles, my Fun Force teammate, he notices, like my knee, like, shifted like twice out of place. And he's like, yo, you good? I'm like, like I struggled through the rest of that show.
Oh, you still performed.
Uh, yeah, I finished out the show. Like I said, it was a struggle. And then once we got backstage, I was like, yeah, this is not good. And like it just got worse. Like I could barely walk for like the next week. But me being young and stupid, like I'm not thinking, I just like had a major injury to my knee. So I'm just, thugging it out, just taking ibuprofen and, going on about my day like nothing. But that was probably the most embarrassing moment for me.
We definitely have very different definitions of the word embarrassing. For you to like,
Well, because,
pop
all
your knee
right.
out of two places and then carry on performing a show like soldiering on. Oh yeah, really embarrassing. What up, Mace?
Well, okay, because like how I am, I'm usually doing like embarrassing stuff intentionally.
Okay. Fair enough.
So it takes a lot for me to actually feel embarrassed,
Yeah, I get that.
because I'm always, being like the goofy, one of my favorite things to do was to act like I couldn't dance. And
Uh-huh.
so like I'd really like get into it with like the way I'm dancing and like the outfits that I would wear. So, I was always doing the crazy stuff. Yeah. So it takes a lot for me to feel embarrassed.
I
Yeah.
rate that. That's good. Was there any celebrities you encountered?
I didn't encounter any celebrities on the ship. However, when I was on my way to the Carnival Pride to start off my first contract, I was on the same flight. I watch a lot of professional wrestling. I love WWE. I watch AEW as well, All Elite Wrestling. So on the same flight going to Baltimore, where the Pride was, located, he's actually an English wrestler. William Regal was on the same flight as me. Yes. For those who don't know who William Regal is, he's from Blackpool, England.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of
And
what his gimmick was. Was it the business
well, when
man?
he first went to WWE after leaving WCW, because that's how long he's been wrestling, he was like his gimmick was like the man's man. So he's
Oh,
like
that's it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, he was in the construction outfit and like
yeah.
out in the woods like chopping down trees and
That's it.
yeah, he was like I'm the man's man.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm from England. I'm representing.
He had the red black lumberjack.
Yeah, that was his first gimmick when he went over to the WWE. So
You
yeah,
just
I snapped a picture with him on the flight because I typically don't do stuff like that now, but then like I said, I'm on a high because I'm like I get to breakdance for a living. Like, what the heck? Like I never thought that this would be going on. So I was like,
yeah.
"Excuse me, are you William Regal?" And he was like very timid. He's like, "Oh, yes." And I'm like, "Can I get a picture with you?" And he took a picture with me and he was all cool. And after that I left him alone because I was like, I don't want to, blow up his spot.
And now it's more people coming to you for selfies, right?
Yes, that does happen a lot now.
It's weird, isn't it?
Then another one. So this is also not on the ship, but it happened to be while we were in Galveston when I was on the Ecstasy. So it was the home port. There was a coffee shop that I went to use Wi-Fi. Are you familiar with To Catch a Predator? Have you heard of that show with Chris Hansen?
Chris Hansen, that's who. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
So Chris Hansen, the guy who's, in charge of setting up those sting operations where they catch guys like trying to, meet little girls and
yeah, yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. He was in the coffee shop that I had went to because that was like the closest coffee shop to get to in Galveston, from the ship. And part of me wanted to go up to him so bad and be like, "Excuse me, what are you doing here?" Because that's how he would always approach people whenever they went to the fake house location.
Yeah, yeah.
And anytime he would come into to confront the person who was there to meet like a teenage girl, he would say something to them like that, like what are you doing here? So I wanted to do that to him, like, what are you doing here? But I was like,
He must get
nah,
that.
let me just
He must get that all the
leave him
time.
alone. Yeah, he probably hears that a million times.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I just admired him from afar, but I
yeah.
didn't approach him
You didn't
or
go up
anything
saying,
like
"Hey,
that.
Chris, are you setting up for a bust?"
Yeah,
I keep
that would
my
have
eyes,
been
I keep my
that would have
eyes
been
peeled, man.
funny. But yeah, I let him be. But yeah, those are the two celebrities that I encountered. Again, not on the ship, but it was during my time on the ship.
Cool, man. I like that. What did William Regal say to you again?
When I just asked if he was William Regal, obviously I know who he is, but I still was wanted to make sure I didn't know what else to say, but he was just like, "Oh yes," he
Okay.
was very timid. He was very timid,
I
which
was
was
I was just trying to get you to do your English accent again for me.
oh oh that's funny because I actually I was messing around with another English girl that I know, and I was like, "Oh, I'm proper knackered." And I would also, make fun of some people that I met, and because I figured out that you guys you don't call it a band-aid, you call it a plaster.
That's true. Yeah, Band-Aid is a brand.
So,
Plaster
you
is,
know,
yeah.
me being how I am, I would go up to the English girls and be like, I'm gonna plaster your face. Because to me, plasters sound a lot more sexual
Yeah,
than I'm sure you guys think it is.
no, you never heard like, obviously like what a plasterer is in a trade job, construction, a plasterer.
Uh-huh.
He
Yeah, yeah,
skims the wall. That's a plasterer.
yeah.
So, we say like, how was your date last night? Oh, mate, you should have seen her face. She looked like a plasterer's radio, or something along those
Yes,
lines.
I definitely said that plenty of times once I found out that's what you guys called band-aids. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna plaster your face.
Yeah,
That always got a good laugh out of them.
we've got quite a few of those like crossovers as well. With when I was on the Inspiration, my one of my co-hosts was Australian, Jeremy, and so
Mhm.
we'd do the intro show. We'd go on, and I'd say to everybody, "Good evening, everybody. Hello, my name's Sam. I'm from England." And then Jeremy would come over and say, "How's it going, folks? Good day. My name's Jezza. I'm from Australia, down under." And I'd jump back on the mic and say, "Right, can you hear the difference? Because it's always the same. Like everyone just thinks we're the same thing, especially in the south of England. We've got so many different
Uh-huh.
accents, but in the south of England, we always get told we sound Australian. So I was like, "Can you
Mhm.
guys tell me where do you think I'm from?" And people were shouting out, "South Africa, New Zealand." I got Middle Earth and Hogwarts as well. It's always the way,
Yeah, of course.
of
Yeah.
course. Did you have a scariest moment that you can recount?
So it's funny because my scariest moment actually wasn't directly involving me. So here's what happened. Like I said, on my first couple of contracts, me and my homeboy Miles, we were always, we were all about hooking up with guests.
Mm.
So I'm going back to our cabin, which is, it's near an exit door, for us to like get into the crew area from the guest area. It's the main one that we use because it's the main door right there. So I'm going to our cabin. I open the door and Miles is in there with a guest. This idiot, this sucker face brought a guest to our cabin. And I was like, bro, what the hell is wrong with you? So, of course, they were in there doing their thing. I decided to wait it out, but he opens the door. He's like, yo, Mase, like, I need you to help me get around the cabin. Security is right there, which security is this bald Indian dude named Carlos.
Classic Indian name.
I know. I'm like, first, when we first found out his name, I'm like, how in the hell is an Indian dude named Carlos? That's definitely got to be like, a pseudonym or something. That's not your birth name. It
Yeah.
can't be. But anyway, Carlos, I don't know if he knew, but he was right by like the doors here. He was like right off to the side, just like fiddling with like a rope or something. He was just like standing there. To me, it seemed like he was pretending to be doing something
Mm.
so he could be there to watch like what is going on. So I'm thinking he kind of had an idea that somebody that shouldn't have been down there was down there.
Oh, he's onto it.
So it was me and like two of the band musicians, because we hung out with them all the time. We have to like do some freaking like Ninja Gaiden, like sneaking around, espionage tip to get this girl out of our cabin. We went down this other hallway that was to the, if we were to step out of our cabin and go to the right, there's a long hallway that basically takes you all the way down to the crew dining area. So I'm walking with the girl going down that long hallway. And then there was another guy, band musician, Jafar. He's a bigger dude. So he stands at the other end of the main hallway, the I-95,
Yeah.
He stands on the I-95 to kind of like block where the girl has to come out, because that
Yeah.
other back hallway meets
So
at the I-95.
he's
So
screening that.
he's trying to, block Carlos's view.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, and this whole time I'm thinking, because that's my homeboy. I'm like, damn, I don't want my homeboy to get fired, for bringing a guest to the cabin, and then also like I don't want to get in trouble because maybe they're gonna be like guilty by association.
Yeah.
But we were able to sneak her out of the room, get her down the hallway, and where Jafar was blocking her at, there was another exit to get out into the guest area. So fortunately, there was like nobody else coming through that staircase, and we were able to get her out, and nothing happened. But I'm telling you, like I have a feeling Carlos knew something was going on, but we were able to get her out, and didn't hear anything else of it after that. But I told him, I was like, bro, don't ever in your life do that junk ever again, because I'm not trying to go down for some butt that I'm not even getting.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm surprised at your definition of the word scariest moment.
Bro, it takes a lot to like get me to that point.
You're just scared.
That's just how I've always been.
You were scared mostly for the fact that you could have gotten some serious repercussions for booty that you weren't even tapping. That was the problem.
Exactly.
That was the scary thing. So you were the same age as me when you worked on ships, or not really?
I started when I was 23.
Oh, it's when I finished. I literally jumped to my first ship in 2006, Mase. So I just turned 19.
Oh, wow.
And I had no skills.
I didn't start until I was 23. 2009 was when Miles and I stepped on the Pride. Yeah, I was 23. Like I said, trying to do the college thing. I was like, yeah, college will be there when I'm done.
But it's just amazing. It's amazing to me that, like, you obviously you're at school all these years, and it's a small window where you get to find a skill set that you can you just have a natural proclivity for a certain skill set. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm going to do this. I should back myself to do this because I'm good at it. And then before you know it, you're like, oh, I can get paid to do this. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll work on a cruise ship. Like, I was just always good at running my jaw. So that's how I kind of got, the job on board in the first place. I made a joke out of the fact that I had no entertainment experience, but we have a chain of supermarkets over here called Asda, which is owned by Walmart. And
okay.
And I had I'd basically been working in the car park, pushing the trolleys around, from like the bays around the car park back to the front of the store. So I had this application form that came through, which I'd sent off for back in 2005 or something. And the first question was like, what previous experience have you got working in entertainment? I had nothing. So I just put in the thing. I've had extensive experience pushing trolleys around as the car park. And they and I thought, well, this guy's got a sense of humor. We'll give him an interview. And that's how I got the job. And that was the first experience.
Hey, but it worked out.
It did, sort of, kind of. Hey, I just noticed something behind you. You just did that on deliberately, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I still got my Fun Ship Freddy shirt that was, customized with the eye and the heart.
Oh, I see. That's funny, because when I nipped out just now, I was thinking, we did touch on this, me and Smurf. We speculated, because that's all we could have done, is if he said that you were seeing the girl in the Fun Ship Freddy costume. I said, what, while she was in costume?
No, not while she was in costume. That would have been a little scary, to be honest with you. I'm not on that furry tip. I'm not on a furry tip.
Just the top half.
Although since Fun Ship Freddy is a funnel, I'm not sure if that would still be considered being a furry, since it's not an animal, but still, no.
Yeah. What's the thing called? When people have an attraction to inanimate objects. That's the thing, right?
I'm sure it is. I can't think of the word though.
Yeah, like people who like get attracted to cars and shit.
I'm gonna have to Google that because I mean there's a term for everything now.
There is a term for that, but don't worry yourself. It's just a fun anecdote. You weren't in love with
Yeah.
her. You weren't in love with her or seeing her because you thought, damn, she looked hot in that funnel outfit.
No, it was how I thought she looked outside the funnel outfit for
Yeah.
sure.
They were only in that costume because they got paid an extra $200 a month, literally. That was it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what Nelly was
Yeah, that's
telling me.
about it.
That was all they got. Which is peanuts now, eh? But back then it was a lot of money.
Yeah, back then it was, a good chunk of change, but now it's like that's gas money.
So I got a couple more questions for you, Mace.
Yeah.
Did you have any nicknames at sea? That's a yes.
So,
That's a yes.
yeah, that's definitely a yes. So, all right. So, in general, a nickname that isn't just specific to me, but then I'll get to one that is for me. So, Fun Force, of course, had a reputation.
Mm-hmm.
So people would call us Fuck Force because, like I said, we had the cool Americans in
Yeah.
shape, talented thing going for us. So yeah, people will call us Fuck Force.
Again, I'm really trying to comb for some embarrassing content, and you're just giving me nothing to work with, man.
I'm sorry.
It's all very, like, oh well, at the end of the day, I turned it, and I saved a woman from burning debris, and I carried her baby with one arm. Oh, it was so embarrassing. I couldn't fit the whole kids club in my arms, but whatever. It is what it is. Did you have any?
Well, a nickname that was given to me personally.
Okay, yeah.
So one of my teammates, he used to call me Deacon Dickum Down.
Deacon Dickum Down. Wow.
Yes. He would call me Deacon Dickum Down. This guy named
DDD.
Andre. Yeah, Triple D.
Triple D. D cubed.
Guy named Andre. He was the last Fun Force guy. No, second to last Fun Force guy I worked with, and I got to see him a few years back. But yeah, he started calling me Deacon Dickum Down because of me being known for
I got it.
Getting the women.
Similar thing to the Fuck Force. So you were
and like even when we saw each other a few years ago, like that's like literally the first thing he said to me. He was like,
"Yo, Triple D,
Deacon Dickum Down. What's going on, man?"
Well, he gave you the full title. It wasn't like he shortened it over time from Triple D to D cubed.
Nah, the full title.
That's cool, man.
And I'm like, bro, like something's really wrong with you.
Like pimp name Slickback over here.
Exactly.
Did you have a worst? This is kind of a loaded question because there's about 3 different slashes or forward slash. But worst, most stupid / ridiculous complaint / request.
Well, I mentioned this earlier.
Or stupidest
the stupidest thing I've had to do was when they had us hyping up the bingo show.
Oh God.
Because it was like, what is the point of us coming and dancing for this? And so the second time Miles and I went to the Pride, that's when like I was like kind of not having fun anymore. So like word had got out about how much money we made as Fun Force guys. And people were like, "Oh, these guys, they never work, but they're making so much more money than us." And I get it, but also people aren't looking at the fact that as a hip hop dancer, people are always trying to get you to perform for free. So we both had our share of like having to do stuff for exposure, as we always say in the dance world. And what we do is not easy. We just make it look easy because we do it so much. We've trained our bodies just like an athlete, somebody who's a basketball player and 6'8", dunking is going to be easy to them because they've done it so many times. It's going to, they're going to do it effortlessly, but it's still taxing on the body.
Yeah. And,
it's a skill that takes a long time to develop. So when we got to the Pride the second time around, like I said, people found out how much money we were making. They started like, side-eyeing us and, not liking us because we weren't working like 6 to 10 hours a day like other positions were.
Yeah.
So one of the things that they added to our schedule of things to perform at was a 10:30 in the morning bingo show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why the fuck do we have to perform at a bingo at 10:30 in the morning? Nobody wants to see us do that. I'm not trying to be up and ready to dance at 10:30 in the morning. And it's like the people who are there for bingo, they don't give a damn about seeing us perform either. Like, what's the point of us hyping up a bingo session?
Yeah, they've got their dobbers out. They're waiting for the numbers to just get called. It's like, oh, I've got to sit through this shit now. Come on.
Oh, yeah, before you guys, try to win some money in bingo, come watch these two black guys breakdance.
I tell you what, Mace, that wouldn't have gone down very well on an English cruise ship because English bingo and American bingo are two wildly separate things. With English bingo, everyone is so quiet. Like, it's deathly still. If anyone even coughs, they get a tutting. But American bingo, they had the thing which is like, okay, if your number gets called, scream and more numbers will come your way. So
yeah,
you'll like to big it up over there, like make it this wow kind of event.
Well, that's what they were, looking for having us performing. But I'm like, this is the stupidest thing ever. Like, I could be still, relaxing or doing anything else besides getting ready to dance at a freaking bingo show at 10:30 in the morning. Like, nobody wants to see that. Yeah. They just wanted to add stuff for us to do to say they were basically getting their money's worth out of us.
You know how you guys did was it the hairy chest competition? That was the thing back in the day, and you would have you'd have the stage up on deck to do a couple dance moves, and they would get incrementally harder to the point where it was like, okay, first you do a few body pops and locks, and it would be like, okay, yeah, they can do this, they can do that. Oh, this is a bit more challenging. Oh, there's no way they're doing the head spin or whatever it is, like the windmills and whatever that stuff. Did you ever have any guests surprise you and actually like nail the last section, or did that never happen?
Oh, definitely. There were times where there would be like old school cat that still had some gas in the tank that would get to do their thing during our atrium show, which is on the Pride. That's what we were doing. Well, most ships the guys did an atrium show. On the Sensation, one of the ships I worked on, our main thing there was doing the Far From Over show, which was the 80s tribute show. Okay. But yeah, there would be times where somebody in the audience either knew how to like, wave, pop, or, they could get down on the ground and like do some floor work or, maybe throw in a backspin. So it was always great to have moments like that would happen where, somebody was able to like, we call it, shut it down. They came out of nowhere and it's like, oh, like this guy actually knows how to do some shit.
And it always,
we would always hype it up.
Didn't matter how great you guys always were at your jobs. If a guest came out of nowhere and had a few moves in them.
Oh, exactly.
It did shut it down. The whole deck would explode. Everyone would erupt. It was just a madness. With the waving and stuff, like obviously there's different types of b-boying across the sector.
Yes.
So you've got your break dancers are the ones on the floor spinning and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah. And then there's like popping, which is a funk style that like originated in the West Coast, like in California, where it's like what like Chris Brown and Usher do. The style of dancing that they do. That is, greatly associated with like popping and stuff like that.
Where does finger tutting come in?
That is like a subcategory of popping.
Okay. Can you do that?
I cannot do that. My hands are not coordinated to do stuff like that.
But you're a DJ. You do a bit of the wicka wacka,
yeah. Yeah, I DJ now. So
that was terrible. That was terrible.
My hands aren't coordinated to do stuff like that. Like my hands work like in a completely different atmosphere.
One of the guys we had on board, he was the first and only person I've ever seen in the flesh who was really good at it and introduced me to that. I was like, what? This is a thing? Been wasting my life like not doing it, just incredible.
Yeah.
Was there any other
I've seen some guys that are able to do some crazy stuff, the way they can like make shapes with their hands, but I didn't get that skill.
Yeah. Were there any other disciplines that I've failed to mention?
There's crumping.
Oh yeah.
Which is, like the crazy, like literally like, and when I was younger, like I would, hate on other dance styles all the time. So for me, like the easiest way to describe crumping is like basically guys looking like they're having a seizure.
Yeah, that
So
is how it
so
looks. That doesn't look.
and
Doesn't look
I'm sorry if there's any crumpers that happen to watch this. Like, I'm not hating on y'all dance style. I'm a lot more mature now than I was when crumping like first started becoming popular. Like,
yeah, it doesn't look particularly graceful.
no, it's not graceful at all. It's a very aggressive dance style because it's a battle dance style. Like breaking. Breaking is also a battle-based dance style, but of course, other people try to, because of how it looks impressive. People want to put it in, different spaces, but essentially is an aggressive style of dancing because it was meant originally for battling against other dancers and trying to show that you're better than them.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, with like TikTok and things now, loads more dance moves are getting coined all the time. The most notable, I think, one that came out in recent years, you could probably correct me if I'm wrong, but was it like the flossing?
Yes. So and I hated I hated that so much.
Yeah. I mean, it's one move.
Yeah.
That's all it is. You could say the same thing about crumping. It's basically just a spasm.
Well, I know now because, like I said, I as a dancer, I'm more mature and like understanding of the differences. So there is like basic maneuvers in crump.
Okay, yeah, that's where I show my ignorance. I don't know nothing.
I couldn't perform any of them because still it's not my thing. I respect it more now, but it's not my thing. So I didn't take the time to like learn what this basic crump move is or that basic crump move is and the difference between it. But they have like they have a foundation, just like ballet dancers. they have a foundation of moves that you learn as you're first introduced to the dance style, and then you build upon that.
I can't imagine there being a crumping version of Swan Lake though.
Oh, definitely not. I don't think that would go over. But I'm sure at some point somebody will probably try to do something like that.
Maybe a crumping nutcracker.
Yeah, something. There is a hip hop nutcracker show. Old school musician Curtis Blow, he does it every year. And actually a couple of I know, like two former Fun Force guys performing that as well.
Curtis Blow, man. I remember that guy.
Yeah. These are the breaks. Break it up, break it up, break it up, break down.
Oh, we both hit the same beat there. Very impressive.
Yep.
If anything jumps out of you that you wanted to say that you haven't already gotten a chance to, now's a good time to jump those.
So, Smurf and I, we have a very, very popular video. Like, this has gotten a whole like hundreds of thousands of views on not Instagram, on YouTube.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna get it up.
All right, so a little backstory. So Smurf had made a video where he gets his Xbox smashed by his girlfriend, and that video blew up. Like, that has millions of views. Like, the whole thing is his girlfriend is pissed off at him because he does nothing but play video games all day and all night. And so she finally gets fed up and she takes his video game system outside and like throws it down, like smashes it with a hammer or something. Millions of views.
What's it called, that video?
On YouTube.
Send me the link after if you remember.
I'll send you the link. Yeah, I can find it because, like I said, it's got a bunch of views. So, but he wanted to recreate the magic of that moment with another video. So I'm in the cabin. I'm playing, at the time I was playing Sonic 3, and like he was recording me and like he was just talking trash, like trying to get me to mess up and stuff like that. And I'm not biting. And
I saw that video.
You saw it? Okay. So
I remembered that. He showed it to me on the inspiration. It's just come back to
yeah.
me.
So
Yeah, you were
like I
pissed.
said,
You were pissed.
I'm looking back at him like he was trying to get me like super mad, but I'm still trying to like be low key with it. But I look back and I noticed he was recording me, so I'm like, why are you fucking recording me? And so then from there, he got the idea that he was like, oh, hey, like, let's make a video though where it looks like I'm trolling you while you're playing video games.
Yeah. So
So
that was staged.
yeah, so it was staged, but to this day, like other B-boys that have like I've crossed paths with and they've seen the video, they question me about it, like, yo, you were so pissed about this, him, talking trash about you when you were playing Mario Kart. And I'm like, let me let you know a secret. Like, we planned that.
Wasn't real.
Like, we shot that video in maybe like a total of like 10 minutes, maybe, because switching outfits and moving stuff around to make it seem like it was over the course of several days.
Yeah.
But like people like still like I've had people argue with me like, nah, there's no way that y'all were acting. Like he was really getting you. He was really getting you. I'm like, no, bro, like I'm just that good. Like we planned that, and he was trying to get me at first when I was playing Sonic. He was really trying to get me, but when that didn't work, and then we started playing Mario Kart, from then on, like I was in on the joke.
Yeah.
And we just acted it out very well.
Well, it's one of those where obviously it's based on true events. Who's your Mario Kart character? Do you change it up?
Oh, it's called Mario Kart for a reason.
You're always Mario.
I gotta go with Mario because he wears the M on his hat. My nickname is Mase Boogie, so we got that going.
Fair enough.
Like main character energy over here.
Yeah, I'm always a Wario guy. I like to play the heel.
Oh, okay. Hey, I root for the heels when it comes to wrestling usually, so I can understand.
Does that mean you're a Logan Paul fan?
No, I am not a Logan Paul fan though.
Yeah, because he's like the ultimate heel, isn't he?
Yeah, he is the ultimate heel right now in WWE, but no, I'm not a big fan of his. I give him his credit. He busted his ass and he picked up the business, but I'm still not a fan based on like a lot of his outside antics. When he made that whole video of the Suicide Woods.
Oh yeah, with the alien hat from Toy Story.
I wasn't I didn't like that video at all because one, I was born in Japan and
really?
I spent some like I said, my dad from him being in the Air Force, I was born in Japan and I've always had like a deep interest in like the culture and like the anime and a lot of the times when I do draw stuff, it's like kind of like anime like style.
Yeah.
So I really like Japanese stuff. And so that just rubbed me the wrong way when he made that video and was like, making fun of it.
We are getting off topic, and it's myself to blame for that. But if there's any other stories that you've written down?
Well, we didn't go over people that I didn't like.
Okay. Who didn't you like?
So going back to, my first ship, the Carnival Pride, our cruise director was a bit of an a-hole.
Okay.
And I feel like he took his dislike of Fun Force guys in general on us. And I think a big part of that reason had to be because on another ship, two Fun Force guys had a threesome with a girl who ended up being his girlfriend at some point. So obviously we feel like he had to have known about it or heard about it because like it's kind of like one of those legendary stories that was told throughout the ship. And so when it came to us, like, we just felt like he was like just an a-hole to us for no reason for some shit that we didn't even do. It was like, yo, like your girl, she smashed those two guys. Like we had nothing to do with that. Like, why are you taking out your dislike on us?
In what way was he giving you a hard time? Was he giving you extra duties? What was he doing?
Yeah, like the whole like the bingo shows and stuff we were doing. We weren't doing any of that our first contract. We weren't doing that our first contract, but when we came back, it was like, oh, you're gonna be doing the bingo shows. They added another not dance class to our schedule because we were already doing a couple of dance classes a week. Usually it was like one all age dance class in the ships where they have the stage shows.
Yeah,
And then we would do another one with like the youth group, just the teenage ones.
yeah,
But
yeah,
then
yeah. Oh, that was it.
they were adding more stuff to our schedule
Well, so you
because
did dance classes for the adults as well.
yes, we did an all age dance class
Oh my God.
with adults too.
I don't
So
remember that. No, I think I remember Smurf doing one for the teenagers, but
uh-huh.
I know that
Nah,
guy.
they made us do one for all ages, and so adults would come up and participate
Yeah,
in that too.
that
And
guy. That
that was interesting.
that guy had it in for you, definitely, Mace.
He did.
Was there anybody else you didn't like? You made a list, or was it just him specifically?
No, there was another situation too where I got into it with a security guard.
Oh,
His name was Vishal. I'll never forget him. He was pissed off at life in general.
can you try and paint a picture of him? Can you try and give us a visual or visual? See what
No,
they do.
like he started off like typical, like cool Indian guy, like obviously like some people because of the Indians were always the security. I don't know why it was the case, but it was like if there was a security guard, 9 times out of 10, he was from India. I don't
Hmm.
know why that is. He was cool at first, like we would always try to be cool with everybody, no matter what their position was on the ship, whether you are a cabin steward or you're the staff captain or cruise director. We tried to be cool with everybody, but some people didn't like us just because of who we were and all of that. So anyway, Vishal, he was cool with us at first. There was even a time where he came up to us and he would be like, "Oh, like I know you guys like get a lot of girls, man. Like, how do you do it?" Like he was like trying to be that cool with us. But then he left. He was dating a spa girl from England. I can't remember her name, but they were together. He left for a brief vacation, and then that Steiner kicked in. As soon as he was gone, she was on somebody else's lap. So when he came back and they were no longer together, like his personality was like he flipped the switch. Like from then he was like always hounding us and like trying to make sure we weren't doing anything that we weren't supposed to be doing.
Were you the guys who stole his chick?
No, none of us did.
Okay, but he
But
suspect.
he was just pissed off in general
Oh,
though
okay,
that she was no longer with him and
okay.
he was expecting to come back to the ship and continue on like nothing happened, like he never left. And I'm
Yeah,
like, bro, like by that time I knew the deal with the cruise ship romances.
yeah.
So anyway, when he came back, like I said, he was a super, stickler on us. And so I came back to cruise as a guest to see a girl that I went back to spend some time with, and like that's when like I, went off on him. And needless to say, Carnival didn't want me to come back.
Oh, you made a scene. That's how you went down. That's it. So this is a good way to close out the show because we've got 8 minutes left. You went,
Yeah, I went out in a blaze of glory.
yeah.
Um, but
Came, came a piece of
Fun
your
Force,
mind.
by that time, Fun Force was on their way out. They kept eliminating us from more and more ships. So I
Fuck
was
Force
like,
was
okay, well,
Fuck Force
it's
was
time
fucked.
to, yeah, basically. So I was like, all right, well, it's time to make another game plan. And so, yeah, I had my moment and, I was done with it from there.
Wow. Was there anything you wanted to promote real quick?
Just, I'm still traveling around all the time. So if you are able to piece together who I'm working for now, come on out to a show. Shout out to all the past crew that I've been able to keep in touch with and see while I'm, still on my international exploits. It happens a lot more often than I ever expected it to. So that's a plus. I'm glad that I am able to still have, so many different people and, get to see them in their home country, and then, get to be taken around and see, deeper into, how they grew up and stuff like that. But yeah, other than that, just make sure you drink water and stretch.
Yes.
Because that's the key to looking younger than what you are. I never get anybody thinking that I'm 37 years old, because you gotta take care of yourself. That's right. You chug that water.
I did a half pint there, Mase, at least. Whoa, we'll drink water and stretch. I mean, you can't.
Next episode, maybe you'll have one of these.
I do have one. I do actually have one, but it's a bit dusty. It's up there.
Oh, okay.
But I don't have a natural spring adjacent to the house either. But it's been brilliant catching up with you and, well, meeting you first and foremost.
Yes.
But lovely to hear all your stories. Thanks for coming on Deck Tales. Did you have fun?
I did. And, shout outs to Smurf for, giving me a recommendation to come on.
Well, if you want to...
I still don't like you, Smurf.
It's been fun. Did you want to drop your handle or anything like that? You did already do that, didn't you?
Yeah, but just in case, if you would like to keep track and see all the other crazy adventures that I get into, my IG is Mase Boogie 850. That is MaseBoogie 850. And yeah, I'm posting on there all the time. So enjoy the content.
There's less than a minute left. We're going to get cut out. So I say goodbye before we do. Take care, Mase. Lovely to meet you. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Cheers, man. Take care.
I love Fun Shit Freddy.
Just the top half. Peace.
Later.
So there you have it. That wraps it up for this episode of Deck Tales. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've been entertained by the tales of laughter, camaraderie and the occasional stormy sea, then don't forget to subscribe, rate and leave a review. Your feedback helps us to navigate the podcasting waters and continue bringing you these fascinating stories. Before I sign off, if you'd like to share your own stories for future episodes, then I'd love to hear from you. Simply get in touch over the socials, because after all, the best stories often come from our listeners. As we navigate through the waters of life, remember to enjoy the journey as much as the destination, as well as those you choose to share the adventure with. I've been your captain, Sammy Catlin. Until next time, fair winds, smooth sailing, and may your adventures be as unforgettable as those shared here on Deck Tales. Bon voyage.